Welcome to Pixel Composer 1.19 stable. It's been a while since the last stable, right? 1.18 came out like 6 months ago, which means we have a lot of new features since then. Luckily, I already make a lot of beta video covering most of them. So in this video, I'm just gonna talk about the bigger highlight feature for the stable, and I'm gonna cover the new feature introduced since the last beta 1.18.11. So let's get through it. First is the Tileset system. So this system allows you to draw using Tileset. Right now, the Tileset could be an image that you import from other software, or it could be an image that you generate using like MKTile, for example. And then you can convert it into a Tileset object where you can define the auto terrain or auto tiling. You can have different palette, you can have animated tile, you can have rules, and then you can draw it into a surface using Tile Drawer. Like in this example, I already set up the auto tiling and auto tiling rules, so it will help you automate like level generation or create some interesting art using Tileset. Next is the Pixel Builder. Now this is technically not a new system, it's already existed in the previous one, but in this version I completely reworked the system to make sure that it works more intuitively and easier to use in general. Pixel Builder is a way to generate pixel art using this constraint, and the concept is pretty simple. It's just a basic concept of a nested box. Right? You start with the big box, the original box, the size of whatever size you want, and then you create a smaller box inside it using this PB box object. And with that box you can define different constraints. You can have it like pad in, right? You can define the width, the height, you can have it the half the size, or you can put it in different places relative to the original box. And then you can create a smaller boxes, smaller boxes, smaller boxes, and inside each of these boxes you can draw shapes, you can draw colors, you can draw lines, you can draw patterns, or you can draw a surface in it, and then you combine them all together into one final image. And the benefit of using this constraint-based construction is that it will allow you to create modular surface or modular image. In this case, like for example, I can adjust the dimension, and all the content inside is just gonna get resizes, reshaped accordingly. Right? Or I can add parameter like this thickness parameter I can use to create a different variants. It's just a different way to create this modular pixel art. Next would be the Armature mesh. Now the Armature system and the mesh system, these are not new, but in this version I have combined these two systems together with this Armature mesh rig node. And the concept is simple. You have these mesh warp nodes that have output the mesh data, and you have Armature node that create these bones. The mesh rig will just assign the vertices in the mesh to a different bones, so that when you combine it back together in this Armature bind node, you can now use the pose to adjust or deform your surface using the bone. You can also bake the mesh so that you can adjust the weight of your bone directly to give you more control over how the animation or the deformation will look. And those are the bigger features in the last stable. Now I'm gonna talk about the feature we have since the last beta update 1.18.11. First will be the new backface blending effect in the 3D camera node. So you have to disable the backface culling first. You go to the render setting and then disable or set the backface culling to none. And now you'll be able to use backface blending to apply color blending directly to the backface. It's a very simple stuff, but in the past you have to have like 2 different nodes and do different blending and stuff like that. Right now it's just an effect that you can access very easily. Then we have improvement on the Aseprite file in. When you try to import a file that have same layer name, it will now append the duplicate layer names with different numbers to make sure that each layer have different names. And this is just internally inside Pixel Composer. It doesn't do anything to your original file. It's just a way for Pixel Composer to differentiate layer names and text name and etc. The camera node also got an improvement. The user interface will now using the same viewer like in the composite nodes. You can select an element, it will show property just for that element, and the camera position and camera size are now 2 separate entities instead of having one area properties that can be a little bit fidgety to control. Now there are 2 separate controls that you can use to control your camera view. The chromatic aberration got new render types, continuous type, just gonna look different from the RGB or the discrete type. The frame node also got an improvement. Now when you select the frame, it will not select the content inside by default. However, you can still drag or you can still move the content. So now when you select the frame and then you delete it, you will only delete the frame and not the content inside. However, if you still want to select everything inside the frame, you can hold Ctrl and then click on the frame, and it will just select all the content inside, just like in the previous version. Next, we have an improvement on the part combine. So this concept can be a little bit confusing because we have two ways to combine parts. In the example, I have 3 parts, right? It's just 3 lines at different position. We have the part combine node, and then we have the array node. The difference here is that the part combine will create compound part. When you try to connect it to another node like the draw line, you're gonna see that it's gonna draw 3 lines. All of these lines are being treated as one object. You can also see that the output here is like an empty, right? This is a non-array output. However, if you use array, you're gonna create part array. You're gonna see that the content inside here, it have some colors, right? Show that it is an array. And when you try to connect it to the draw line node, it's gonna spread the array because it's an array processor, and you're gonna get 3 different images of each part. So that's 2 ways you can combine multiple parts. In this update, I also give the part combine the ability to combine or compound part array as well. So you can connect the part array to the part combine, and then it's just gonna flatten and then merge all the part inside that array into one part object that you can be used just like a normal part combine. On the topic of draw line node, there is now 2 new inputs for drawing line caps. You can provide a texture for start caps and end cap, which will just draw an extra texture at the beginning and the end of the line. You can also go down to the cap setting to disable the rotate caps. So now the line cap gonna not rotate, it's gonna always stay the same. Then we have the new scatter mode. In the scatter node here, there's gonna be new Poisson distribution. And if you click on it, you're gonna see that the amount control will change into a distance control. And this is a different type of distribution that will make sure that each of these surfaces have some distance away from each other. By default, it's set to 8 pixels, so you might want to increase it a bit until there is no overlap. The same thing with scatter point as well. You can change the scatter mode into Poisson, and now you will see that each point it generated will have some distance away from each other. Then we have an improvement on the Strand simulators. In this version, I have improved and add new property in the Strand simulators. I may need to have a separate video talking about this system because there are a lot you could do with it, and it's not a node that I talk about a lot. So I think it's a system that many people don't know how to use it. But it's basically just hair, right? It uses to simulate hair, but you can use it to simulate like grass, or you can use it to generate like a vines or like leaf as well. And then we have an algorithm improvement to the trail node. Now the trail node is a node that will take animation and then try to connect them, right? Unlike the delay machine node or using the feedback system, you're gonna see that the trail node will try to connect every single pixel. Even when there are space between each frames, it's gonna scan all the surrounding surface. However, in the previous version, the node is really slow, it's really unoptimized. In this version, I improved the algorithm to make it run a lot faster, though I also removed some of the features that are not being used, like the UV output and stuff like that. So now, the node should run faster. And lastly, we have new rotation snap in the particle and VFX node. As the name suggests, it will just snap the rotation of the particle to allow you to create some more stylized particles. And as usual, we have a series of bug fixes in this version on the screen right now. So yeah, that will be all for today's update video. And because it's been a while since the last stable, you may have some project that you're working on 1.18 that doesn't open properly in 1.19 in this current version. So if you want to download or if you want to downgrade the software to a different version, you can do that by clicking on the version number here on the top right, and you're gonna see this download section where you can go back and download all the previous version of the software all the way back to like 0.0. You probably need to download like 1.18.0. That will be the last stable. So if you have your project that doesn't open in the latest version, then you might want to try downgrading it to the version you are using. When you download it this way, it's gonna download the each version without the Steam DRM. So you will not have access to like Steam Workshop. So if you want to downgrade your Steam version, you can do that in the beta setting. Go to the Steam, right click, properties, and then you can go to the beta setting. That's where you can download the older stable 1.18, 1.17, and it's also the place where you can participate in the beta version as well, right? If you want to experiment with the newer feature. Even though I call this version stable, I expect it to have a bunch of bugs that aren't being detected, aren't being found. So if you find any, please report to me on the Discord channel. This is where I'm gonna be the most active so that I can fix it and then patch it as soon as possible. And yeah, that will be all for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. Special thanks to all the Patreon supporters, and see you in the next one.